Hello, everybody. My name is Ray. Welcome to the Evangelical Dark Web. Today, we're going to do a little bit of red pilling because I came across a tweet that seemed to be under the impression that Big Eva has changed over the last 10 years. That, 10 years ago, all these people were super faithful for the gospel and Christian witness in the public square. And I just got to say, that's not true. It's Big Eva has been this bad, and you people, myself included, are the ones who've woken up in the last 10 years. So that's what I want to talk about in today's video. But first, I want to let you know if you like the video, also subscribe to the channel if you are new. Evangelical Dark Web is a Christian news gathering and commentary ministry, and we have a Patreon-like system, as well as a newsletter that's completely free. But the Patreon-like system gets you more access to even more content than what we do on video or podcasts. So with that said, let's dive into the tweet that got me started on this subject. And I'm going to provide some receipts of my own. So this is from Brian of Alexandria. Nothing against him. I don't know who this person is, but I'm going to take it that they're a good, faithful believer saying this statement in good faith, because that's probably what they're doing here. He states, "You used to love those Big Eva types. Why did they change?" And then he's like, "Why did I change?" And then here's this is what he says after that. 6 to 10 years ago, Russell Moore was writing about how we need to reclaim patriarchy. The Beatty Anyabwile, formerly known as Ron Burns, was writing about how we needed to recover our gag reflex regarding gay sex. Did I change? And the point that he's driving home is that they changed and I didn't. And I'm here to tell you, you've changed and they didn't. Or if they did, they changed in the same direction that they've always been going. So that's the hypothesis that I'm running with here. But I do want to respond to some of the comments. 10 years ago, TGC was still about the gospel. Jamar Tisby was reformed, and Lecrae and Jackie Hill Perry were preaching through their art. And you got a lot of agreement here. Maybe a little. Keller fans wouldn't have said those politically incorrect things, even if they might have thought them. Any other? Yeah, a lot of. Wait, this isn't a thread? Was waiting to find out how you stopped liking Big Eva types. Spoiler alert, it had nothing to do with Big Eva types and everything to do with how your heart changed. Now, that is true. Maybe not in the way they intended. I kind of think that Pastor Mullins here, or Our Mets Dreams, who sounds like a New Yorker, is actually meaning that for ill. And then we got 10 years ago, Russell Moore wrote that we should support Obama because Providence and Romans 13. And Rod Dodson says, I'm glad you brought up gag reflex used interchangeably here with disgust. A little disgust and shame does a culture hell-bent on outdoing Weimar on the sin frontier some good. And then we got some other discussion here. Did Piper change? And that's going to be my point here. That article from Pastor Anyabwile was the first I'd read from him and gave me a favorable impression of him for many years, despite his descent into racist wokeness. Hey, and then Ned Flanders is punk rock with the final comment saying, "Hey, come join us. This Bible thing is great. What parts should we apply to you, and what parts should we banish because we know better and want your money?" So I guess that's a comment on Big Eva. So going back to the original tweet, what's wrong with it? And what's wrong with it is these people have been the same. Like Russell Moore. Let's talk about Russell Moore for a second. My brother recently wrote an article about how Russell Moore has changed his views drastically as it relates to lady pastors and Beth Moore most specifically, but he's also changed his views on a lot of things. So he has gone left. But if we just want to go 6 to 10 years ago, Russell Moore was a problem. He was definitely the first major visible issue going on in the Southern Baptist Convention, specifically through his helming of the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission. Russell Moore was all about being soft on immigration, and that was basically his pet issue. That's his major issue, as, you know, what he was doing with the ERLC. He was big on open borders policies and still is. Thabwidi, I don't know enough about him, but I got other receipts for days here. John Piper, I believe it was 2007 that he wrote that he wouldn't kill a rapist to defend his wife. And I believe it was in 2004 he believed that David raped Bathsheba, which is pretty ironic given his two beliefs on rape here. But John Piper, I don't like John Piper, and that's an understatement. And John Piper's extremely woke, by the way. And people are in denial about that. So John Piper, Russell Moore, we can talk about Al Mohler in 2014 was apologizing for not accepting the term sexual orientation. That's pretty woke. That's pretty compromising. And he actually, I believe in 2022 or 2021, backpedaled on that position. So that's kind of a good thing. But I think Al Mohler sees which way the wind is blowing. He thinks that the woke church has overstepped its hand, and Al Mohler has not curried enough street cred or favor with the woke liberal Southern Baptists. So he's come crawling back to us, or our side. I'm not Southern Baptist, but he's come crawling back to take over the conservative movement in the Southern Baptist Convention. My analysis of what he's doing. That's my read on Al Mohler. Okay, let's do another quick result here. I want to talk about Mark Yarhouse, the mad gender scientist of Big Eva. And this is one of the guys who spoke at Revoice. I believe it was 2019. So not the first Revoice, but he spoke, I believe, at the second Revoice, if I'm recalling this article. Very long article that I wrote about Mark Yarhouse, who's the mad gender scientist. And in 2010, he wrote a white paper for the Gospel Coalition. This was commissioned by D.A. Carson, and it's called A Christian Perspective on Sexual Identity. It's from 2010, and the paper has glaring theological issues intended for use by campus ministries. One of the immediate errors is the recognition of sexual orientation as a fixed position. So this is side B theology, and that's one of the things I point out is that Mark Yarhouse was teaching side B theology and getting Big Eva on board with side B theology in 2010. Now we're in 2023, and this is one of the biggest issues facing the church right now is side B theology. So that's just one example. That's the whole Gospel Coalition, by the way. This is why you can draw a straight line from the Gospel Coalition to Revoice. It's Mark Yarhouse. And I also want to talk about Richard Land in 2014. He's attacking Uganda, and this is what he says. So what stance should the early 21st century Christian advocate and support? Perhaps we should begin by saying that homosexual activity between two consenting adults should not be criminalized. As much as we may understand the desire for our Ugandan brothers and sisters to protect their country from moral excesses of the West, we should counsel them not to criminalize consensual homosexual activity. Does that sound like a biblical witness? That's from Richard Land, who I've been going after a lot because you read his writing, it's terrible. So I'm also publishing an article where he talks about Ukraine, and he advocates a very bad peace solution that's a globalist imposed ceasefire on Ukraine that's just not realistic. And conveniently, he's writing it as Ukraine is about to lose a major battle here. Very convenient. We got a lot of examples to cite in Big Eva world, but we can also go back to the whole megachurch movement. Joel Osteen, big name 20 years ago. Joel Osteen was like the biggest church 20 years ago. He got Lakewood to the biggest church. I believe it was the biggest church. I might be a little rusty on when they opened their new church in their stadium. That might have been after 2003. But huge name, and so many people in Big Eva copied him. Then we pioneered the multi-campus model and all these other bad outcomes for the church, bad experiments that the church played around with. Big Eva was bad 10 years ago. That'd be 2013, by the way. And they're bad now. They're just following the logical conclusions and serving their father, the devil. So here's the thing about sanctification. Sanctification changes your heart. So when that one pastor in the comment thread said that your heart has changed, yes, because of sanctification through the Holy Spirit. I don't think that's how he meant it, but I'm going to co-opt his words to drive home this point. Your heart has been changed. You are growing in your sanctification. That is why you're awake to Big Eva and their games. That is why you're seeking out alternative Christian media sources. Subscribe to this channel, by the way. And also, that is why Big Eva is seemingly getting worse. They are seemingly getting worse because they are not getting sanctified. False teachers get worse over time. This is a general tendency with false teachers. So, what we have here is the Holy Spirit changing the hearts of Christians, growing them up, and awakening them to Big Eva and their games through sanctification. And we have people not being sanctified in Big Eva and serving their father, the devil. That is what's going on. That is why people are waking up. And this isn't, again, Dave Rubin's a liar when he said that the left left him. He didn't leave the left. No, he wanted off the ride because so many people that are liberal, that claim to be conservative now, want their line of degeneracy to be the line of demarcation. That's not the case with us. We are waking up to Big Eva. We are getting off of the Big Eva pipeline. And that is what we want to proliferate. This is the red pill here. So that's basically the point that I wanted to make. Let me know what you think about what I think, and have a blessed day. I will catch you on the next one.